Welcome to Spooky News for December 13th, 2019. Sorry. Well, as you can tell, things may be getting a little festive around here, but we always keep it spooky, festive or not. So let's get into the spooky news. Always remember, Spooky Ventures and all of the YouTube channel and everything we do is supposed to be interactive. So be sure to like our videos, share our videos, subscribe to our channel. Give us ideas for videos. If you got some videos you think we should have in one of our playlists, let us know. If you want to submit some videos for us that you think would fit on our channel, let us know that too. We'd love to hear from you. And don't forget, check out Spooky Ventures at spookyventures.com and always keep it spooky. Last week I had a segment talking about how Billy Edward Albert Myers photos of UFOs made famous by the X-Files were up for auction. And in a comment on a text comment on the clip, I mentioned that the auction was actually over by the time the video went up, but I hadn't been able to find out the results of the auction. Well, it turns out they sold for $16,500 to an unnamed bidder. So they're no longer on the market. Be interesting to see what the person who got them is going to do with them, if they're just going to be hidden away somewhere or put up for display or what. But $16,500 is what a collection of photos like that will earn, apparently. I've talked about how Christmas ghost stories used to be a thing, and there seems to be a movement towards bringing it back, which would be a cool thing. But North Wales Live has a story from a person who grew up in a hotel in Wales in a place called Snowdonia. The hotel's now haunted, but are now closed. But apparently, it was a haunted hotel and even had its own Christmas ghost. So they've run a story about the Christmas ghost and his encounter and things like that. So it's kind of cool for a real life Christmas ghost story. It looks like the tradition of spooky Christmas stories is even starting to extend into haunted destinations for the season. A place in Lake Station, Indiana, has a haunted Christmas uh, event or haunted house. Their haunted house is doing a Christmas event with spooky holiday stuff for with spooky Santa and things like that. So the whole tradition of spooky Christmas may well be on its way back, which is cool by me. As you can tell, I like spooky, and hey, I like Christmas. Well, you know I like lists, so there's a new list out about the five spookiest ghost videos out there on the internet. Now whether they're real or not, that's up to you, but they're ghost videos that are supposed to be real. And I'm going to see about adding them, or at least some of them, to the playlist on the YouTube channel, so hopefully you can get a look at them that way too. But this list has them all included in it, and see if you think they're creepy or not. If you're looking to travel to Wales, there's a new article about the best pubs and haunted castles, the haunted castles and haunted pubs you can visit in Wales, from Prince of Wales Hotel, Skirrid Inn, Ruthin Castle Hotel. If you're looking to plan a paranormal tour to Wales, you ought to have a look at this list. You know, England and Wales and Scotland and Ireland all have plenty of good haunted places. So Wales perhaps doesn't get as much publicity as some of the ones in England, though. So give it a try. I'm going to go on a little bit of a rant here. There's all kinds of talk about that movie Hole in the Ground from Netflix and how it's so scary people can't sleep and it's just the scariest thing they've ever seen. And if this was the first movie of theirs that was being said about, I think I'd believe it. But since I get a lot of these news articles about spooky movies and stuff, I've been seeing these exact same quotes about just about everything scary that Netflix has released in the last year. My guess is they've got a PR department that's doing a heck of a job at leaving reviews and things on social media and all kinds of other little blurbs. And you know what? More power to them for doing that. But personally, I think they ought to maybe not say the same thing about every movie because it just gets to be almost silly to me. I don't know. And Netflix, don't come suing me. This is my opinion. I'm welcome to my opinion. And I did say I think it's your PR department. So, but I just think that, if everything they come out with is so scary that people can't sleep and all this, suddenly it just looks like you're just manufacturing this fear. Movies are manufactured fear, but nonetheless, it just looks kind of silly. Well, if you guys have followed these spooky news, you know I love lists. Well, here's an interesting list. We're always doing lists of best of, scariest, spookiest, things like that. But Screen Rant has a new list out of the 10 worst horror movies of the decade, and they used Rotten Tomato ratings for coming up with the list. Personally, I've never seen any of the movies on this list, so I really can't tell you if any of them are good or bad. I didn't even know there was an I Spit on Your Grave too, but that's on the list. Something called Deep Water. Like I said, I don't even think I've heard of any of these movies. They must have just sort of disappeared. Um, so those are considered the worst horror movies of the last 10 years, at least according to people who left reviews at Rotten Tomatoes. Check out the list and see if you agree. Well, unless you've been hiding under a rock, you'll know there's a new trailer for Ghostbusters Afterlife, and I don't know. I've seen a lot of different opinions on it. I think it looks promising. It looks pretty cool. It's a fresh start anyway, and we'll see what they do with it. If you are interested in horror movie history, there's a website that's got an article called Horrific History of Creepy Kids, and it includes all kinds of creepy movies, including Village of the Damned and all that. And you've probably seen a lot of these. They mention The Omen, and you know, you've probably seen a lot of the films that are in the list. And well, it's not exactly a list. It's actually an article about how the whole creepy kids and what makes them scary, and all that. It's a very cool article. You need to check it out. If for no reason other than the fact that creepy kids are just plain spooky. There's a brand new trailer for a movie that comes out next year. It's called The Deadlands, and it's a horror movie, a supernatural horror movie set in the world of the Maori. So it's a tribal movie. It's also a period piece um, about a warrior who dies and has to go back to account for his sins, but finds that his people have been ravaged when he gets there. So sounds pretty interesting. And definitely a new twist for horror films. I don't think I've ever heard of another Maori horror film. So keep an eye out for that. The trailer is just released. You can see that. Sounds cool. There are two new horror movies coming out today, and they're both of interest. Now, the first one, Hanukkah, is kind of interesting just because it's a Hanukkah horror movie, but it's going to be in limited theatrical release coming out in video early next year, home video that is. But it is Sid Haig's final performance, so that makes it well worth seeing if you have the chance. And then the other is Black Christmas. Now that one's been getting a lot of controversy over the fact that it's got a PG-13 rating. So I don't know. We'll see what it does at the box office. Personally, I think it's going to do really well because I think the controversy over the rating is getting it a lot of extra attention that should put posteriors in the seats at the theater. So we'll see. I may be completely wrong. I mean, look at Terminator. The new Terminator bombed this year, and so did Doctor Sleep, and I don't think anybody saw those coming. So who knows what's going on this year with the theaters. And that's a wrap for this edition of Spooky News. Be sure to tune in next week when we'll have more for you. Spooky Ventures is the home for spooky content and spooky merchandise on the web. Check it out today at spookyventures.com. And remember, always keep it spooky.